The Vorthok Empire had perfected the art of control through terror. For 3 centuries, their method remained unchanged and brutally effective. They didn't need massive fleets or planet-killing weapons. They simply took children when a species showed signs of rebellion or independence. The Vorthok would arrive at their worlds under the pretense of diplomatic visits. During these inspections, they would select the youngest, most innocent members of the population and spirit them away to labor colonies in distant star systems. The message was crystal clear: obey without question, or watch your future generation disappear into the void. No species had ever dared to retaliate until they took Sarah Chen. Mars Colony Beta 7 bustled with activity as terraforming engineers worked to expand the Red Planet's habitable zones. 8-year-old Sarah Chen sat in her family's habitat module, carefully arranging her collection of Martian minerals, while her parents, Dr. James and Dr. Lisa Chen, prepared for another day of atmospheric processing work. Sarah had always been different from other children. Where others saw barren landscapes, she saw potential gardens waiting to bloom. Where others feared the unknown depths of space, she dreamed of exploring distant worlds and meeting alien civilizations. Her teachers often marveled at her ability to solve complex puzzles and her unwavering optimism in the face of challenges. The morning alarm chimed through the colony's communication system. All residents report to designated assembly areas for scheduled diplomatic inspection, announced Colony Administrator Johnson. The routine had become familiar over the past 5 years. Since humanity's first contact with the galactic community, Sarah's parents exchanged worried glances. These inspections had grown more frequent lately, and whispered conversations among adults often stopped when children entered the room. Still, they had no choice but to comply. The Vorthok Empire's reputation for swift and merciless punishment preceded them wherever they went. The Vorthok delegation arrived in sleek, obsidian vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Overlord Zixthor, the supreme commander of the Outer Rim territories, emerged from the lead ship. His towering insectoid frame cast an imposing shadow across the colony's main plaza. 4 arms ending in razor-sharp claws clicked rhythmically against his ceremonial armor as he surveyed the assembled humans. "Greetings, human subjects." Zixthor's voice resonated through translation devices, each word dripping with condescension. "The Empire requires periodic assessment of your species' compliance. You will present all offspring for evaluation." The colonists had no choice but to bring their children forward. Sarah walked hand in hand with her parents, her young mind fascinated by the alien technology and biology she observed, while other children cowered behind their families. Sarah stared with curiosity at the Vorthok delegation, completely unaware of the danger she faced. Zixthor's compound eyes scanned the group of human children with predatory precision. His species had developed an instinct for identifying the most psychologically valuable targets, those whose absence would cause maximum emotional distress to their communities. His gaze lingered on Sarah, noting her confident posture and the adoring looks her parents gave her. "This one," Zixthor pointed a clawed appendage at Sarah. "She will accompany us for advanced cultural education on the Imperial homeworld." The euphemism fooled no one. Dr. James Chen stepped forward, his voice trembling with barely contained rage. "Please, take me instead. She's just a child. She hasn't done anything wrong." Zixthor's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Emotional attachment confirmed. Subject selected for maximum psychological impact. Resistance will result in additional selections. Sarah looked up at her parents with confusion rather than fear. Mum, Dad, what's happening? Are they talking about a field trip? Dr. Lisa Chen knelt beside her daughter, fighting back tears. Sarah, sweetheart, you're going to go on a very long journey. Remember that Daddy and I love you more than all the stars in the sky. No matter what happens, never forget that you're the strongest, smartest girl in the galaxy. As Vorthok soldiers moved to collect Sarah, she finally began to understand the gravity of the situation. Yet, instead of crying or struggling, she straightened her small shoulders and looked directly at Zixthal. Will I be able to come home? The Overlord was taken aback by the child's composure. In his centuries of conducting these operations, he had never encountered such calm resolve from someone so young. That depends entirely on your species' continued cooperation with Imperial directives. Sarah nodded solemnly, then surprised everyone by walking toward the Vorthok transport under her own power. She paused at the ramp and turned back to wave at her parents. Don't worry, she called out with the innocent confidence only a child could possess. I'll find a way home. Humans always do. Light years away, aboard the U.S. Defiant, Captain Marcus Steele received a priority transmission that would change the course of galactic history. The grizzled veteran had served in humanity's space forces since their first tentative steps beyond the solar system, and he had been preparing for this day longer than anyone realized. Sir, Communications Officer Torres announced from her station. We're receiving an emergency bulletin from Mars Colony, Beta 7. The Vorthok have taken a civilian child. Steele's weathered face hardened into stone. Around the bridge, crew members stopped their activities and turned toward their captain. They had all heard the stories, the rumors, the whispered conversations about what humanity would do if the Vorthok ever crossed this particular line. Name and details, Steele commanded, his voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. Sarah Chen, age 8, daughter of terraforming engineers. Taken approximately 4 hours ago during a routine inspection. Colony Administrator confirms compliance with all Imperial directives prior to the incident. Dr. Elena Buscus, the ship's chief science officer, looked up from her tactical display. For 5 years, she had overseen the development of humanity's most closely guarded secrets, weapons and technologies that existed in theoretical frameworks, but had never been deployed. Today, theory would become devastating reality. Captain, she said quietly, Project Homecoming is ready for implementation. Steele activated the ship's internal communications. All hands, this is the captain. As of this moment, the UES Defiant and her crew are no longer operating under standard diplomatic protocols. We are now engaged in a rescue operation of the highest priority. The target is an 8-year-old human child named Sarah Chen, currently held aboard a Vorthok vessel in the Kepler 442 system. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in throughout the ship. For 5 years, we have maintained the illusion that humanity is a junior species in this galaxy. Today, we show them who we really are. Today, we bring Sarah home. Commander. Kaio Conquo activated the fleet-wide communication network. Across human space, dozens of ships that had been disguised as simple cargo haulers and exploration vessels began their transformation. Hull plating shifted to reveal advanced weapon. Arrays, sensor equipment emerged from concealed compartments. Energy signatures that had been carefully masked for years suddenly blazed across subspace monitoring stations. The secret was out. Humanity had not spent 5 years simply integrating into galactic society. They had spent 5 years studying, learning, and developing technologies that would make them the dominant force in known space. Every diplomatic mission had been an intelligence-gathering operation. Every trade agreement had provided access to alien technologies that human scientists reverse-engineered and improved upon. Aboard the Vorthok transport carrying Sarah Chen, Overlord Zixtal received reports that made his ichor run cold. Human vessels were appearing throughout Imperial space, not the primitive craft his intelligence services had catalogued, but warships whose energy signatures defied explanation. Sarah sat in her containment cell, no longer the frightened child she had appeared to be on Mars. Her parents had taught her well. The mineral collection she had been arranging that morning wasn't just a hobby, it was training in pattern recognition and strategic thinking. The puzzles she solved weren't simple entertainment, they were exercises in logical analysis and problem solving. "The humans are coming for you," Zixtal hissed as he stood before her cell. "Your species has revealed technological capabilities we did not know they possessed. They risked galactic war for one small creature." Sarah looked up at the towering alien with steady eyes. "That's because you don't understand humans at all. We don't see numbers or statistics. We see family, and family is worth any risk." The Overlord's mandibles clicked nervously. Outside his ship, space began to ripple with quantum distortions as human vessels dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The rescue fleet had arrived, and with it, the end of the Vorthok Empire's reign of terror. Captain Steele's voice echoed through subspace, carrying a message that would be remembered across the galaxy for generations to come. "Overlord Zik, you have something that belongs to us. Return Sarah Chen immediately, or learn why humanity spent 5 years pretending to be weak." The reckoning, the space around Kepler 442 filled with vessels that redefined impossible. The human rescue fleet materialized from quantum tunnels, their hulls gleaming with energy fields that bent light and distorted reality itself. What the galaxy had assumed were primitive exploration ships revealed themselves as technological marvels that surpassed anything in known space. Overlord Zixtal stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominion of Shadows, watching sensor readings that his mind refused to accept. 27 human vessels faced his battle group of 83 ships, yet his tactical computers registered threat levels beyond their maximum parameters. "Impossible," whispered Sub-Commander Kethva, the Vorthok's chief military strategist. "Our intelligence indicated the humans possessed only basic propulsion and energy weapons. These readings suggest technology centuries beyond our current capabilities." Captain Marcus Steele's weathered face appeared on the Vorthak's communication screen, his eyes burning with a fury that made even battle-hardened aliens take a step backward. Behind him, the bridge of the UES Defiant hummed with activity as crew members operated control systems that seemed to respond to thought as much as touch. "You have 60 seconds to release Sarah Chen," Steele announced, his voice carrying the absolute certainty of someone who held all the advantages. "After that, you'll discover why humans are the only species in the galaxy that maintains detailed records of every single one of our children, and why we never, ever stop looking for them." Zixtal S. pride-ward with a growing fear that gnawed at his consciousness. The Vorthok Empire had built its reputation on the principle that no species would risk everything for a single individual. Yet here stood humanity, apparently willing to start a galactic war over one 8-year-old child. "Human fleet," Zixtal transmitted, trying to maintain his authority. "You face the might of the Imperial Navy. Withdraw immediately, or your species will suffer the same fate as all who oppose the Empire. Your emotional attachment to offspring makes you vulnerable, not strong. Dr. Elena Vasquez looked up from her science station, where holographic displays showed weapon systems that existed only in theoretical physics textbooks. Captain, all quantum displacement arrays are online. Temporal distortion fields are stable. Matter conversion matrices are ready for deployment. Overlord Zixtal, Steele replied with deadly calm. You're about to learn that our emotional attachment to children doesn't make us vulnerable. It makes us absolutely terrifying when someone threatens them. The human fleet moved with a coordination that defied conventional military doctrine. Instead of forming traditional battle lines, the ships seemed to dance through space, their movements guided by tactical AI systems that predicted enemy actions before they occurred. Hull plating shifted and reconfigured, revealing weapon ports that sparked with energies that had never been seen in combat. The first human vessel to fire was the UES Redemption, a ship that had posed as a simple freight hauler for 3 years, while secretly housing humanity's most advanced weapon systems. A beam of pure quantum energy lanced out, striking a heavy cruiser. The enemy ship didn't explode or break apart. It simply ceased to exist. Its matter converted to energy and dispersed across local space. What just happened to the Korthmag? Kethfer screamed as his sensors registered the complete disappearance of a vessel that had been there moments before. The answer came as 12 more human ships opened fire simultaneously. Quantum singularity. Weapons punched holes in reality itself. Matter disruptors turned solid metal into its component atoms. Temporal displacement fields accelerated sections of Vorthok ships until they aged millions of years in seconds, crumbling to cosmic dust. Zixtal watched in horror as his mighty fleet was systematically dismantled by weapons that operated beyond his understanding of physics. Ships that had terrorized entire star systems were reduced to glowing debris in moments. The Vorthok Empire's reputation for invincibility evaporated along with the scattered atoms of his battle group. "How is this possible?" he whispered, his forearms trembling as he gripped his command throne. "No species possesses such technology." Captain Steele's image remained steady on the communication screen. "Every species you've terrorized for 3 centuries contributed to our development. Every technology you've stolen, we've improved. Every tactic you've used, we've studied. You thought you were farming tribute from primitive civilizations. In reality, you were providing us with the tools and knowledge to surpass you." Commander Kaiokonkwo's tactical display showed the battle's progression in real time. The Vorthok fleet, once a symbol of overwhelming power, had been reduced to scattered survivors in less than 15 minutes. Only Zixtal's flagship remained, intact, its shields collapsing under the focused attention of human weapons that rewrote the laws of physics with each shot. Meanwhile, in her containment cell, Sarah Chen had been watching the battle through a small viewport. The mind processed the light show outside with the same analytical curiosity she applied to her mineral collections. She had noticed patterns in the Vorthok ship's construction, weaknesses in their security systems, and most importantly, the growing desperation in her captor's behavior. "They're coming for me," she said aloud, her voice carrying a confidence that unnerved the Vorthok guards. "And when they get here, you're going to be very sorry you took me." "Guard Prime," Vextal hissed through his translator. "Silence, human spawn. Your species' arrogance will be their destruction." Sarah smiled with the innocent cruelty only children possessed. "You still don't understand, do you? Humans don't abandon family. We don't negotiate with people who threaten our children. we eliminate them. The Dominion of Shadows shuddered as human boarding pods attached to its hull. But instead of the violent assault Zik still expected, what emerged were search and rescue specialists moving with surgical precision through his ship. Their powered armor incorporated technologies that made them nearly invisible to Vorthok sensors, and their weapons incapacitated rather than killed. Master Sergeant Diana Rodriguez led the rescue team through the ship's corridors, following sensor readings that had pinpointed Sarah's exact location. The Vorthok crew offered minimal resistance, too shocked by their fleet's destruction to mount an effective defense. They found Sarah in Detention Bay 7, sitting calmly in her cell as if waiting for a scheduled pickup, when she saw the human insignia on Rodriguez's armor. Her carefully maintained composure finally cracked, and tears of relief streamed down her face. Sergeant Rodriguez to Captain Steele, the team leader reported. Package secured. The kids scared but unharmed. Sarah looked up at the armored figure with eyes that held far too much understanding for her age. Are my parents okay? Did the bad aliens hurt anyone else? Rodriguez knelt beside the cell as her technical specialist worked to override the lock. Your parents are fine, sweetheart. And after today, these bad aliens won't be hurting anyone ever again. As the rescue team escorted Sarah to safety, Overlord Zixtal was brought before Captain Steele aboard the UES Defiant. The one's commander was a broken creature, his exoskeleton cracked and his compound eyes darting nervously around the human bridge. Please, he whispered through his translator, we surrender. We will return all children taken from all species. We will pay any reparations demanded. We will submit to any terms of peace. Steele studied the alien with something approaching pity. Overlord, you seem to misunderstand the situation. This isn't about peace terms or reparations. You took Sarah Chen. That made this personal. Dr. Vasquez looked up from her communication station. Captain, we're receiving surrender transmissions from Vorthok installations across 17 star systems. Word of the fleet engagement has spread faster than our ships can travel. The news continued to pour in over the following hours. The Vorthok Empire, built on fear and intimidation, collapsed the moment their aura of invincibility was shattered. Species that had submitted to centuries of oppression rose up across the galaxy. Liberation fleets arrived at labor colonies to find them already overthrown by the prisoners themselves. Sarah Chen was reunited with her parents on Mars colony Beta 7, where she returned to collecting minerals and dreaming of distant worlds. She never knew that her rescue had fundamentally altered the balance of galactic power, or that her name was now spoken alongside the greatest heroes in human history. But across the stars, in countless species on thousands of worlds, parents told their children a new story. They spoke of a species called humanity that valued family above conquest, love above power, and children above all else. They told of the day when taking one human child brought down an empire and proved that some bonds are stronger than any weapon. The message was clear to every civilization in known space. Earth's children were under the protection of beings who considered love itself a weapon of mass destruction. And in the vastness of the galaxy, there was a power no empire could ever hope to defeat. The age of Vorthok terror was over. The age of human protection had begun. Asterisk.